Good morning, everybody. Woo! What a fantastic crowd we have here. So, you'll all be aware, because you deliberately signed up and came, despite the whole Advertising Week New York thing happening, this is the Rebel 50 breakfast. And yeah. Oh, can we get some music? No. Okay. The Rebel 50 is the drums attempt with our friends at WeTransfer to try and summarise and work out what rebellion means in marketing. They're not usually two words we would put side by side, but these are brands we think deserve recognition, and mostly brands that we want to talk to, explore, interview, and just learn more about. Brands that go outside of the box, break conventions, grow within their categories, all of that sort of good stuff. And I'm joined today by some rebels within their own rights, two of whom were on our list today. And I think I will allow you both, all three of you I should say, both is the wrong number of people there, to introduce yourself with a single word defining what rebellion in marketing means. Does that make sense? Let's try it. Let's go. And you first, please.
Surprise. Good morning. Nice to see you all. The one word for me probably be purpose, because rebellion, just for the sake of it, it's not going to achieve anything.
A rebel without a cause.
A rebel without a cause.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt.
No. And I'm Berit. I look after the global B2B marketing at WeTransfer. Been there for about 2 years. I'm based in the UK, but I'm super happy to be here for a few days.
Cool. Hey, everyone. I'm Andrew Katz. I'm the CMO at Athletic Brewing Company. My word is impact. Because marketing without impact, doesn't really move the needle. So it's about impact. And I was just listening to Daniel Ek, the founder of Spotify, talking about how when you have impact, one of the trailing indicators of impact is happiness. So I think impact that leads to happiness.
Love that. Morning, everyone. I'm Craig Bromers, the Chief Marketing Officer for American Eagle. And I think the word that I would describe for Rebel, at least in the case of us over the last 8 weeks or so, is reset. I think being a rebel can reset the conversation. It can reset culture. It can reset the stock market in our case. So it's been a fun ride, and I really appreciate the drum, including American Eagle in the Rebel list for 2025.
I can't believe we actually have CMOs who have reset culture. Literally done it. It's insane. So we had purpose, we had impact, and oh my goodness, I forgot reset. Okay, rebellion can reset the status quo. I like that. So the first question we're going to do is, here we go. This is going to be a bit of a debate. It can get a bit philosophical. Get yourself, buckle in. What does it truly mean to execute being like a rebellious marketer in the boardroom? Like, what really makes a difference in there? And we use words like brave and bold all the time, but good marketing should be risky. It should move the dial. Surely if we've all to be doing rebellious marketing as a status quo, then it isn't rebellious. These are the debates we've been having internally in the drum. Should we even be calling good marketing rebellious when it should be the outlier? This is a lot of words that I would like you to try and dig through. I've thrown you a tough one there.
Yeah, I was like... So the question being, what does good rebellious marketing look like?
I think so. Do you all agree that's what the question was?
I think from looking at the list of the people that were selected across the globe, I think there's a few things that really stood out for me, which I guess could be the red thread or the commonalities that make good rebellious marketers. I think one of them was a lot of these people have actually kind of looked or had a good influence on the piece outside of just promotion. So there's great examples of where the product itself is part of them. I mean, the marketing should be the 4Ps, but unfortunately it often has become that the marketers are often in charge of just the promotion and the campaigns. So one example of the list for me was Tony's Chocolonely. who actually the bar itself, the uneven pieces in there represent the inequalities in the cocoa industry. So starting with a really strong product that stood out in a very crowded category of chocolate, for example, I think that's a great way to show this. The other thing, you kind of mentioned this it's the long-term nature. So a stunt is great, but a stunt is a stunt. And so anything rebellious that you do, you probably need to earn the right within your community to do that in the first place. And you can only achieve that through kind of like long-term commitment to that community. You stand for something, and then you can start to play in that space and have these stunts, but they will be part of your long-term strategy.
Excellent. At the Drum, we love a stunt, shiny new thing, impact in the real world, short-term page views, you know the score. But what we really like to do is sit down with the CMOs, introduce these things and see how they fit into a longer-term plan. Craig, do you have any viewpoints on short-term stunts and how they fit into longer-term plans?
Well, I think in the case of American Eagle over the last couple of weeks, it's been conviction. We have had a ton of pressure from the outside world, social media, traditional media, honestly, our own advertising trades, you guys included, exerting pressure on this particular campaign. I'm just very proud of our team, our leadership, our board, honestly, our customer base, of providing the support to execute the campaign as originally intended. And listen, we set out to create the It Jeans campaign of 2025. We may have created the It Jeans campaign of the century. With the It Girl of 2025, Sydney Sweeney. And, when we were envisioning this, we knew that we were going to be pushing some buttons. Some of the direction of the reaction was honestly a little bit absurd. I'm just going to say it. But it definitely created a conversation that wasn't just here in the States. It actually went around the globe as well. And when I reflect back on what we were able to accomplish, of course, I just mentioned culture, but I don't get to sit in my chair for very long if we're not creating business opportunities for our brand. And when we reflect back on the fact that we have 1 million new customers over the course of 8 short weeks, that we reflect back on the denim market share that we've been gaining over the last 8 weeks. We've had sellouts of certain styles that Sydney was wearing. That is impact. So I just love the fact that I'm sure marketers get the question all the time of, does marketing work? Is this doing anything? And I feel like what we did over the last 8 weeks is maybe the most exciting example that marketing has impact. And when you do it right, as I mentioned, it can create culture, it can impact sales, and listen, the market goes up, the market goes down, but at the height of our campaign, our stock price had gone up 1.5 billion with a B dollars. That's impact as well. So I think back to that original question, it was the conviction of isolating the noise that was created in social media, in traditional media, and really looking at business performance and customer performance with real-time data and being able to move forward with the campaign.
I have to say, as a marketing journalist, I've never seen such an explosion around a campaign before. The way the discourse distorted and grew every day. We were writing about it for weeks. It was hard to know what to engage with in good faith and not. But ultimately, we check in with Craig and see how the business performed down the line, and we cover the following campaigns, of which you were quite quick off the mark.
Well, I didn't want to give the drum a shout out.
Do it.
Yeah, we'll give you a shout out here. You guys kindly covered a really interesting moment for me personally, but also for any CMO. I was asked to be on our earnings call, and that is not a normal thing for a publicly traded company to have their chief marketing officer on. And again, I think that after that earnings call, and again, of course, it was not just me, not just marketing, there were other great things that the company had done, but it was the single largest appreciation in the history of the company in one day. Our stock went up 38% after that earnings call, and a lot of the earnings call was very much focused on Sydney and the campaign that followed with Travis Kelce that was announced one day after the royal engagement. So that was great timing. But
How
again,
deliberate was that timing? Did you know?
sorry?
Did you have a suspicion that the timing was?
Of course, I planned the whole thing. That was that definitely happened.
I've
No.
never seen timing like it.
No. The date was the date. Obviously, sometimes it's better to be lucky than be smart. We had begun partnering with Travis almost more than a year ago. In my industry, it takes quite a bit of time to develop products and to develop a campaign and make sure it's executed at 900 stores, et cetera. So I think the back-to-back punch of Sydney and then Travis created this moment for our brand that continues today. I mean, on Saturday night for the season premiere of Saturday Night Live, American Eagle and Sydney Sweeney were part of the fun. And it's just crazy. I think now we're 10 weeks past the launch of the campaign, and everyone is still talking about it. And that doesn't happen anymore. It just doesn't.
I'm going to have to move on, even though I could have ran you for about 50 minutes and everyone would sit and listen. Andrew, sometimes rebellion involves creating a category, creating the use cases for a product, and that's something that you've done brilliantly. That's why you're on the Rebel 50. Woo! So, how does rebellion form into what you've done? Does it? Are you a rebel? We haven't even asked the people on the list if they think they're rebels. Are you a rebel?
I think the jury's still out.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Just because you say so, I don't know if it's true.
The trade press have decided.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that so much has to be happening in culture for your idea to resonate. The best entrepreneurs are great at timing, so it's not an accident that in culture, wearables, I know my data, health and wellness awareness, Dr. Andrew Huberman, all these voices around, the table saying, hey, let's rethink some of the things that we just take to be true. And let's see if they really are true. And so I think it set the stage for this non-alcoholic revolution, right? And I think a lot of people reevaluating, especially after the pandemic, I think I was drinking too much, and I think that Athletic came along at the right time with the right product, with the right proposition. Our two co-founders, Bill and John, I think were really astute in terms of seeing this was going to happen. Somebody was going to be the leader in the category. Mm-hmm. And they decided, let's reinvent this for modern drinkers, for people who love to socialize, to drink, but they don't necessarily love the alcoholic part of it. And the reality is 80% of our drinkers drink alcohol, right? So it's not a binary choice. It's not like I'm not drinking or I am drinking. A lot of people, maybe show of hands, how many people zebra stripe, so like I'll mix alcohol with non-alcohol, or, there's my favorite drink special.
Especially the night before a Rebel 50 panel.
That's right.
Yeah.
Or my favorite drink special in Brooklyn, which is called the Hypocrite. It's a shot of tequila and an Athletic.
Oh, yeah.
So you can have it all.
I'll be Brooklyn, did you say?
Yeah, Brooklyn. I'll
over the bridge.
Over the bridge.
I'll find it. Wow. So sometimes it's around the organisation of the marketing department and the people in it. Sometimes it's around the media placement, and we're very lucky to be joined by WeTransfer, which quite a rebellious media canvas yourself. Back when I was a media reporter, how many years ago? Too many. I noticed what WeTransfer were doing with when you go on to download your files. I know you've all downloaded the files because you have to move things about, and you're like, oh, what's this lovely piece of artwork? Sometimes it's an ad. Sometimes you can't tell. Yeah. Is that a rebellion? I think that might be rebellion.
I definitely think it is. I mean, when the company was started by two guys running a creative agency in Amsterdam, it wasn't really a conscious choice that this was going to be advertising, but they basically figured out that to do the transfer, to do actually the service we provide, they only need a very small space. So because they came from the world of like creative and art, they were like, why don't we just give this rest of the space away to our community, people that we, friends, and then also to advertisers. And so kind of grew naturally. But then obviously there was an inflection point when display and programmatic, and it kind of boomed that there was why don't you just split it up into 30 small display ads? You could probably make more money. And maybe in the short term that would have been the case. But that was like the rebellious moment. There was like, no, we actually believe that this canvas, that's often called, or like a shop window as people refer to it.
What was you had a really lovely term for it on the pre-call, do you remember?
Someone said this to me the other day. They were like, oh, you work at WeTransfer. It's like the Selfridges shop window, but digital. And I was like, oh, I like that.
I can use that in the piece that I'm going to write now.
I thought I don't know. I thought
I'd
go for my audience and try and not be too British about this. But yeah, I think that was one of the things. And then probably the other thing, what we still do today is we have a Supporting Act Foundation. That's part of the business where we put some of the profit into this foundation and supporting artists and communities. And also we still give about 30% of our ad space to causes we care about. So it could be charities, it could be artists. And we have an arts platform within WeTransfer, which is WePresent, which is quite unique. And it's quite interesting for me. I came in as a marketer about 2 years ago, and they see themselves as an editorial team. And a lot of the cultural projects you see the company does, where we've, funded a film that actually went on to win an Oscar, for example. Like, they are done by the editorial team. They don't actually necessarily see themselves as part of marketing, which also is quite rebellious. And it also, I think it works so well because they don't work to typical marketing metrics. They're not tasked with find an influencer to work with because we want to, get a brand lift in this category, or so they just know that that's the community that uses WeTransfer, and they are part of the community, and they see a topic that they care about. So the Riz Ahmed film that went on to win the Oscar was quite risky as such, because it was actually about racism in kind of post-Brexit Britain. So it was definitely a risk to be associated with that, but Riz Ahmed became huge, and we're still working with him, and have just announced him as our guest curator for the year. Wow. So it's also this commitment to, that was 2020, and now he's back working with us.
I can't believe we've had Brexit Britain, and we're in New York. I'm supposed to be away from it. I've sent you, all three of you, away to do some homework. Do you any? Okay, yeah. Just seeing if they looked worried there. We'll start with Craig. So we have the Rebel 50 list, which you should read on thedrum.com. We launched it last week. Was it last week or the week before? Time's insane when you've done a 16-hour flight. And I asked our panelists to pick out some of their favourite brands or work and just discuss why they think they deserve to be on the list. Well, I hope that's what they've done. They might have picked out some who shouldn't be on the list, which would be more interesting but also more worrying. So Craig, on you go.
Yeah, so many friends and people that inspired me on the list this year. You guys did a great job. I think Chris at New Balance and Corey at Elf, two buddies of mine who in particular have done some great work. But I would say this, we have been through the great denim wars of 2025, and two of the people on your list come from close competitors of American Eagle, Kenny over at Levi's and Fabi at Gap. And I think they inspire me. They also motivate me because every hour of every day I'm getting a sales read. And I know that someone might be buying a pair of jeans from Gap or someone might be buying a pair of jeans from Levi's, and we have to be better. And I know both of them individually, great human beings, but also very smart. And I feel like for me personally and for our team, that motivation to be the very best is something that is very empowering. American Eagle does have the number one market share in jeans here in the States, and definitely have the motivation to be number one overseas. So I think of all of the rebels, ironically, it's two people in my own category who we are going, toe-to-toe combat at retail that really brought out the best in me personally, and I think the best in our brand this year.
The journalist within me couldn't go without dismantling this panel and going off track very briefly. Yeah. And by the way, once you've answered, Craig's got a meeting to go to, so he might try and squeeze through. Why is there a marketing denim war in 2025 right now? What happened to inspire us? We were bombarded with amazing denim advertising all of a sudden, and it was the front of culture again. Like, why?
Yeah, I think on one hand, it's obvious. This is the time of year that I always call the denim Super Bowl, and everyone is bringing their A game. But I think that you have these iconic American brands that have kind of been in the mid to upper middle class market, Levi's, Gap, Abercrombie, us at American Eagle, that have captured the country and in some cases the world's imagination. And then you spice it up with talent that maybe the category hasn't had recently. You know, I've been in this chair at Calvin Klein, at Abercrombie, at Gap before, and you brought that level of talent, you know, whether it was Brooke back in the day in Calvin or Sarah Jessica Parker at Gap. And I think you have Beyonce and Levi's, you have Cat's Eye at Gap, you have Addison Rae at Lucky. I'm just saying, I think maybe we won those denim wars with Sydney Sweeney. At least the numbers would say that. I mean, those are badass campaigns with badass talent.
So I want to talk about a different Sweeney.
Ooh.
I want to talk about Doug Sweeney. So Doug Sweeney is the CMO at Oura Ring. And thanks to Doug Sweeney and his work, he's driven a lot of people into the NA category because they know what a shitty night of sleep they get when they drink too much alcohol. So, you know, that's been a really fascinating thing to watch. Wearables really has driven people's awareness of their own data. And if I know my own data and I know what affects my own data, I'm in control. And I love the campaign that they ran earlier this year called Give Us Your Finger, a very New York-y thing, which was awesome. And then they did a little bit of a stunt where they went around New York and was like, give us your finger. And most people gave the wrong finger because you're not supposed to give the finger, but a finger where you can put your Oura Ring. And I do think that they've just made, you know, what was once seen as very elitist in terms of, you know, personal tech, very accessible.
Relatable, funny.
And they also showed old people like me, you know, in the advertising who are wanting to live, you know, longer, healthier, better lives. And really it is about health span as opposed to just lifespan.
Magnificent. And Bennett, who else did you bring to the table today?
As a kind of, you know, coming from B2B marketing background, there's one example on there that I love with the Hiscox insurances. The reason why I love it is because, I mean, insurances is not a category that gives you permission to be like bold and do risky moves traditionally, but they have got that, and so they did a great campaign. And I like it's actually rooted in deep insight, so it's not just artificial. They know that their small business audience really was like the doom and gloom of insurance. It's not what they wanted to play into. So it was quite lighthearted. And then they had this disastrous media campaign. So they took it onto all the media formats, and the billboards, one part was upside down, and you know, it was really fun and playful. And I know I've seen it judged in like an award, so I know it also really worked for them.
It was on the side of the building I live in, and it was a sort of, oops, you're having a bad day. You know, and it was, I stopped to read it every single time. And as a cyclist, that could be quite dangerous, you know, which is ironic as well. But yeah, so any more examples? We have one more minute. Come on.
I mean, the other one that I had, but it's an obvious one. It gets talked about all the time, but it's a similar reason. So it's Duolingo. It now seems like, oh yeah, they're this really playful brand, but education edtech was also not really a category that gave you that permission from the start. And they have been, I think they've almost set an example of what like social can also mean. Like they're super quick, but it's their long-term strategy. And I think sometimes that super quick social deserves a shout out as well, because it's actually not easy for the teams to do. I have a few friends who are on social at like, one is like a large coffee company. And he was like, we have a WhatsApp group with the CMO where I can quickly check that it's okay to respond like this. But you need that environment of trust, and it's not a given in all companies.
That's rebellious. A WhatsApp with the CMO where you send them all your bad ideas when you're, what was it, zebraing?
Zebra striping.
Zebra striping. I'll be doing that tonight. So, we're out of time. Okay. So, the Rebel 50 is available to peruse on thedrum.com. You should do it because it's very good. We're going to go through it all and try and interview every single one of them, like Pokemon, I suppose, catch them. And you'll be inspired. You will reframe how you think about rebellion. And isn't that good? Isn't that what you need? So everyone, can we have a round of applause for our panelists? And myself, please. And thanks for coming. It was really nice to see you all.